Good morning, students. Welcome to another video lecture on political theory. We will be covering John Rawls' theory of justice in this lecture today. Have a look at the life sketch of Rawls before we move any forward. John Rawls was an American political philosopher in the liberal tradition. He was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland, USA. His father was a prominent lawyer and his mother was a chapter president of the League of Women Voters. He had been a student at the Princeton and Oxford University. He was first appointed as a professor in the Cornell and then the MIT. Later he joined Harvard, where he taught for more than 30 long years. Throughout his adult life, Rawls saw major events like the World War II and the US-Vietnam conflict, which compelled him to analyze the defects in the American political system. Rawls' most discussed work is his theory of a just liberal society, called the Justice as Fairness. Rawls first set out justice as fairness in a systematic detail in his book A Theory of Justice in the year 1971. He continued to rework and improve his work on justice as fairness throughout his life. He restated his theory in Political Liberalism, The Law of Peoples, and finally in 2001, The Justice as Fairness. Rawls has made some remarkable contributions to the political and the moral philosophy in the world. Some ideas from Rawls' work that have received remarkable attention are justice as fairness, the distributive justice, the original position, reflective equilibrium, an overlapping consensus, and public reason. Let's discuss in detail Rawls' theory of justice. Rawls has made an attempt to provide a moral theory alternative to utilitarianism, and he also tries to address the problem of distributive justice. When we say distributive justice, we mean the idea of what is just socially, what is acceptable by the society. He tries to reconcile the freedom and equality. Rawls is not concerned with human welfare in general or the welfare of the society at large. Rather, he wants welfare at individual level. He wants a society where each and every person receives equal amount of justice. His theory aims to provide a better alternative to the traditional utilitarian theories. He uses the model of social contract given by Locke, Rousseau, and Kant to explain his theory. He says that justice should be the foundation of all the social institutions. Nothing should be done in the name of welfare of the majority by ignoring the minorities. So the first conclusion that we can draw is that John Rawls rejects the utilitarian philosophy because utilitarianism threatens to oppress some members of the society in the interest of greater good of greater numbers. Each individual needs the guarantee of liberty. If everybody has the same interest in the society, then there would be no need to reach on a consensus regarding the principles of justice, because everyone would be in the same position and everyone will understand each other. But this is not the case in the real world. In real life, people disagree on the moral principles and have conflicting interests. So Rawls devises a hypothetical situation where each individual is placed in a position where their conflicting interests cannot influence them. He calls this position as the original position. Rawls rejects the traditional arguments given in the social contract theories, which based the origin of the state with the state of nature, which then generated the need for human political associations. He rather developed an argument for the original position in the justice as fairness, that the original position of equality corresponds to the state of nature in traditional social contract theories. This original position is not a historical state of affair, but it is a hypothetical notion that is created to help people to reach on the idea of justice. Rawls says that at this original position, every person is completely ignorant of their social status, difference in the abilities, difference in their intelligence levels, and their general worth in the society. And in this state of ignorance, they have come together to negotiate the principles of justice. Rawls calls this state as the veil of ignorance. In this situation, people will choose radical equality and the principles of justice as fairness. Because, imagine, in this veil of ignorance, you do not know whether you will be born in a rich family as Ambani's, or you might even be born in a poor family in one of the slums in the cities like Mumbai. So, under the veil of ignorance, no one will know their race, religion, their family status, or their social status. So, this veil of ignorance is important to eliminate from the negotiation any possibility of the participants seeking to protect their own interests at the expense of the interest of others. This way, no biases can ever occur amongst the deliberators who negotiate the principles of justice. Post deliberation at the original position, two principles of justice will emerge. The first principle is that each person will have equal basic liberties in the society. The second principle would be that the social and economic inequalities to be arranged in a manner that they are to the greatest benefit of the least advantaged groups in the society. Everyone will have equality of opportunity, and self-respect of each man would be protected. And Rawls specifically mentions that the first principle is more important than the second one, meaning that equality of liberty must come before the distribution of socio-economic resources. In the event of the conflict between the two principles, the negotiators will give preference to the first one. Once the principles of justice are arrived at, they are then applied in a four-stage sequence. In the first stage, the parties adopt the principles of justice behind the veil of ignorance. This veil is removed in the next three stages. The next stage is the Constitutional Convention. This is where the negotiators will frame a constitution specifying the powers of the government and the basic rights guaranteed to the citizens. At the next stage, the negotiators will become the lawmakers after the constitution comes into force. At this stage, the laws are made. The final stage is when the rules are applied and executed and followed by the citizens. This is also the stage when judiciary comes into practice. Everyone now has complete access to all the facts. Rawls is one of the most renowned redistributionist theorists. He criticizes the idea of equal opportunities by saying that natural distribution of talent is neither just nor unjust. It is a natural fact. Inequalities that are there amongst humans from the birth are undeserved. Therefore, it is even more unjust to reward those who are naturally more endowed. Rawls pleads for real justice in which we should compensate those who are less endowed naturally. Justice should be an ethic of redress and not an ethic of reward. The reason why Rawls chose constitutional democracy over any other form of government is because Rawls was aware that if a state is given wide regulatory powers, it can become dictatorial and behave in an arbitrary fashion. He believed that the regulatory state must be constitutionally restrained and made accountable and responsible to the people. Rawls also gives two basic moral principles of justice which a constitutional democracy should satisfy. First is that every person should have equal right to the liberty in the society, and second, that everyone should be given an equal opportunity to gain positions and offices and the benefits attached to these offices and positions. The basic structure of the society, including the political constitution, the economic, the social institutions, should together define a person's liberties and rights. Rawls also proposes for a just distribution in the constitutional democracy, where the government should regulate the free economy in a certain way. The markets should be competitive and the resources should be fully employed. Government must ensure an appropriate social minimum to all. It should distribute the property and wealth widely and also underwrite equality of opportunity by providing education to all. As we come towards the end of this lecture, we can conclude that John Rawls' theory of justice sparked a revival in the political philosophy. It is one of the most important works in the later 20th century. It can be used as a powerful weapon to answer some important social questions and solve some important social problems. His work has thus reached beyond the confines of academics to help influence the reality. I hope we've helped you clear most of your concepts regarding John Rawls' theory of justice. Keep watching for the next lectures. Thank you and all the very best.